Hey, this is Steve Ricciardi, and I'm back for another solo pod. This time we're going to go over the FS2 Prelims for UFC Chile. It's going to be 4 fights on these prelims. Let me get into the screen share again so you can see the matchups as I run through the fights. And here we are. All right. So again, like I said, this is the FS2 Prelims. We'll go through Draftkings plays, we'll go through betting plays, we'll go through my predictions. Last week I was 10-3. There is another pod already up for the Fight Pass prelims. There are 3 fights in the Fight Pass prelims. There are 4 fights on the FS2 prelims, and then we'll have our big show later on for the FS1 main card. Lots of dogs, in my opinion. I don't know what these guys are going to say, but I like a lot of dogs on this card, and I think some of the lines are way too big. But let's get into this first fight. All right, we have Humberto Vanderlei versus Gabriel Benitez. Vanderlei is a young kid. He's only 23 years old, fighting at 145 pounds. He's very young, so the improvements usually are pretty huge. The one thing that I noticed on film from him is, because again, it's tough finding film on him, but he had 6 wins in a row, 2 subs, 4 KOs. He's a big lefty, strong left kicks. He actually knocked Martin Bravo out with a kick. The knee kind of caught him. He struggled to get up from takedowns when he fought Barzola. They actually have, these 2 guys have one fight in common. Enrique Barzola, who also is actually on the undercard, he's on the Fight Pass prelims, and they both lost to him. But this guy Vanderlei really struggled to get up from those takedowns. But again, he's a big fighter, throws a big left, strong left kicks. It's tough to find tape on him. So let's talk about Benitez, all right? Benitez, very similar attacking styles, these 2 guys. They're both lefties, but again, Vanderlei has a 5-inch reach advantage. Lefty, they're both lefty, left kicks, liver kicks, low kicks. Kept very good ground distance, Benitez, versus Jason Knight. Very sharp striking and actually beat Jason Knight, which was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, it was a surprise to me. I remember taking Jason Knight that night on Draftkings, and I think he was the highest priced guy in Draftkings, and I was pretty surprised by his win there. 28 years old, 71-inch reach, so he's he's got some good wins under his belt. And again, for both of these guys, this is basically a toss-up fight. You know what I mean? The odds are a little wide. Benitez is -225. Vanderlei is plus 185. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say that Benitez, based mostly off of what I think about Jason Knight and how well he was able to stay at distance against Jason Knight, I'm going to go say that Benitez can get him. But I really haven't seen much on Vanderlei to be able to be very confident in that pick. By that same token, I think that at 7.7K for Vanderlei, that makes a great play on DraftKings. Cash games, GPPs. Benitez, again, I'm not saying it's not a good play, but at 8.5K, I kind of see if he's going to win this, it's going to be a decision win. Vanderlei's a real big kid, so I think we're going to see a big improvement from him, and I'm a little surprised about the line, to be honest with you. Let me get this back here before I continue with the next fight. All right. Let's move this right into Botelho. All right, so in the next fight, we have Poliana Botelho versus Sayuri Condor. And Botelho is 6-1, has one UFC fight under her belt. So does Condor. They both have had one UFC fight, one UFC fights in the past. Botelho is -180, 5'8", 67-inch reach, so she's going to have about 4 inches on her. They're both in the same age, 28, 29 years old, so there's not much of an age difference or experience difference. They both kind of have the same number of fights. Patello is 8.7K on DraftKings. Condor is 7.5K on DraftKings. Now, again, at 8.7K, I think this is going to be a decision fight. She fought Pro Gonzalez to a unanimous decision. She definitely was able. Pro Gonzalez, for the most part, was really trying to wrestle her and get into her body, push her up against the fence. I don't think she wanted anything to do with her volume striking. She has a very good jab, hard right kicks, Patello, good damage in the clinch, especially versus Pro Gonzalez, which is the one fight that I was able to watch. I did watch some other fights, but that was the one that I just because I've seen Pro before, I wanted to be able to get a good look at that. But she really took it to Pearl. I don't think that Pearl really wanted to exchange with her, and she fights long. So again, she's going to have a little bit of a height advantage, and since she fights so long, I think Condor may have a difficult time landing on her. She goes for striking, takedowns. She's Brazilian, so again, she does have some BJJ in her background. She has 5 knockouts in her fights, 3 in the first round. So she hasn't fought a ton, as you can see on the matchup there, but she really has kind of taken people out early in fights. Now, Kondo, on the other hand, she's a decision fighter. She has 5 decisions in her 6th win. She has 1 KO, TKO, and it was early. She only has 1 UFC fight. Left, right, head goes down to the left. So again, what I noticed is she really just kind of duplicates that left-right combination, and her head tilts down to the left when she throws that right. So again, I'm an amateur, only been watching film for a few months now, and if I notice that, I'm sure Botelho's coaches are going to notice that. So I wouldn't be surprised if when she throws her combinations, Botelho is throwing a right, basically a straight right, and she's going to connect, probably straighten her up, and then be able to come in behind that with some high volume strikes, especially if she gets some damage off on that first punch. Kondo to me is very hittable. She throws the jab out there often, doesn't seem to have much on her punches. A few low right kicks, straight left kicks. She will clinch, use her knees, tough versus a bigger Botelho to get those knees in. She picks her lead foot up instead of circling when she's trying to get away from punches and get away from striking. She throws a hard right hand and puts her head down. So I think the uppercut will straighten her up, and I also think that right hand on her 1-2s will straighten her up. So I really do like Patello in this fight at -180. I don't think that's a bad bet if you wanted to bet that. At 8.7K, I guess she could get the knockdown, but I kind of expect this to be a decision fight. It seems like Kondo really, all her fights are decision fights, and she's really tough. She has taken punches and kind of just walks through them. Again, if Patello really gets to get off on her, maybe that's a little different story, but I do really like Patello. 8.7K though, I could see that in a cash game. I guess you could go GPP if she gets the knockout, but I'm a little concerned, going too overboard with the GPP. All right, next fight. Let's get to this because I really like this fight. So we have Brandon Moreno and Alexandre Pantoja. Here we go. So in this next fight, I'm going to pick Brandon Moreno, and I really like Brandon Moreno. Technically, he's the underdog. I wouldn't be surprised if this line goes off as a pick'em fight. Brandon Moreno, this is basically a rematch from Tough 24, and Pantoja caught him, got him in a submission and beat him by submission. But these two fighters have very similar skill sets. So I'm going to go with Moreno because I think that his striking is a little bit sharper. He has a good jab, and he fights long. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. So because he fights long, I think he's going to use his versatility in his striking and in his game to get after Pantoja. So I think he needs to stay balanced and long, stay behind his jab, use that 1-2 combo like he does, left jab, mixes in a left uppercut, which is nice, especially against Pantoja, who's a little shorter. Low right kicks, high left kicks. Moreno, I just think has more versatility. At 8K, I really like him on Draftkings. I like him as a cash play and a GPP play. And at plus 105, I think it's a great prop to bet if you wanted to go by decision. So I think if you wanted to go Moreno to win, it's plus 105, but a great prop would be Moreno by decision. I think that would be get a little bit better odds. Again, those props aren't out yet, but I do really like that. Again, when you're considering, this is a rematch, Moreno is only 24 years old now. So you're talking about a guy who I believe he was 21 when he fought that fight and was submitted. So I think that he's shown improvements, and I think he's going to get better with improvements. And again, when it comes to the fights, he lost to Sergio Pettis. He was supposed to be fighting Ray Borg. That fight was canceled twice, I believe. So I think they really see something in Moreno. Again, he's young. And I'm not saying that Pantoja isn't very good, but he has lost 3 times by decision, and I can see him losing this one by decision. So I'm going to go Brandon Moreno by decision win over Pantoja. The last fight on the FS2 Prelims, it's a little bit of a weird fight, mostly because Michel Prazeres, he just seems to never make weight. Against the last 2 times out, against Burrell, he came in at 159 for a 155 fight. And against Desmond Green, he came in at 161 for a 155 fight. So I guess the UFC then told him, you got to go up and you got to fight at 170. So he pulled Zach Cummings in this fight. So for the bettors out there, the line flipped drastically. Prazeres opened up as a minus 152 favorite and is now plus 140, whereas Cummings opened up as a plus 118 underdog, and now he's at minus 165. So the line really did flip. Prazeres is 36 years old. He's short. He's only 5'6". So Zach Cummings is going to have a pretty distinct, let's do the quick math here, 6-inch height advantage and almost an 8-inch reach advantage. So they say once the reach advantage gets over 6 inches, it's significant. It really does affect the fight. And again, in this case, we're talking about just about an 8-inch reach advantage. So I think that's going to be huge. Zach Cummings is a BJJ black belt. He's a big guy, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised that he makes 170 pounds at 6 foot to make 170 and be thick like that. Heavy hands. He has a hard overhand left. He is coached by James Krause, so his striking has come a long way. Heavy left kick. Good hand speed. Shoots that right hand out there. Right hand jab is important versus Prazeres. He's going to be shorter. And again, Prazeres is a wrestler. So the reason that jab is important is if you can keep him at distance with that right hand jab, he shouldn't be able to get in. Again, I also think that Zach Cummings, for the most part, he is gonna chain wrestle at some point because Prazeres is not gonna let him off the hook and not try to wrestle him at all. But he did lose to Gunnar Nelson by sub, and he lost to Ponzinibbio. So his 2 losses are 2 pretty good losses. You're talking about 2 guys that I believe Gunnar Nelson's ranked 12th, and I believe Ponzinibbio is 10th, although he's out right now. He's supposed to be on this card, but he's out right now because of the injury. And again, Zach Cummings has 11 submission wins. So if Prazeres gets himself down there, very similar to the main event in this event, where you have Usman and Damian Maia. Yeah, Usman's a wrestler and wants to get Maia down, but once you get down on the mat, now you're creating problems because now you got a guy down there that can submit you if you make a mistake. So Cummings can, even if Prazeres does get him down there, Cummings can get that submission. Prazeres is going to throw some heat himself. He's short. But he's got a big back. That's where a lot of his weight is in his legs and his back, upper body. He's real strong. Shoots takedowns, a lot of single legs. I guess because his arms are a little shorter, so he goes for the single legs. Heavy kicks, knees in the clinch. Although I don't think those knees are going to be effective with the height of Cummings. And he will go for some ground submissions. Again, he is Brazilian and does have a BJJ background. So this is more or less a BJJ fight once it gets to the ground. Cummings, I think, is the better striker, and I think he's going to want to, kind of take advantage of the height and keep it on the feet as much as he can. All right, so that's the end of the FS2 prelims. We have some good fights coming up on the main card. There's actually 6 fights on the main card that we're going to debate later on. So please check back in and get out my predictions.